The match at the park. First of all, I can't believe this was the ninth version of these. When we did the first one, Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson, 2018. I remember all the hype and whatnot around that whole thing. This was the ninth version of the match. The park is insanely cool. We went there with Grant Horvat. That was the first time that we had ever done anything with him. We were out there filming all day. We saw the DOD King on the first tee, filmed a bunch of videos, experienced that property and what it is. PGA of America making these investments into places like this. It's fucking awesome. It's largely about the children, which they highlighted really well, and growth and getting kids into the game of golf, having it be accessible, fun, so that they kind of find it early in life, develop decent skills so that they're good at it, can thrive at it, and then enjoy golf throughout the rest of their life. The park's got all kinds of cool stuff. It's got huge like putting green. It's obviously got bar, restaurant. It's got the 18 holes. And then it's got like a lit up 9-hole par 3 deal. They lit up 12 holes on the main course for the match. So in terms of just the overall facility, it's right there in West Palm Beach. It is absolutely fucking awesome. That place is as cool as it gets. We saw Dylan Meyer, who's an Illini graduate, who's playing pro. He's out there on the pro circuit. He was out there playing. Just all kinds of names are there. It tracks a lot of cool people. So that place is sweet. It presented great on TV. There were cool crowds. In terms of the actual golf, I don't know how many times we could say it at this point. It's not the most electrifying thing in the world. I think that you kind of have learned that on a golf front, the best players in the world, what makes them entertaining is when they're competing at the highest level for the biggest events. And when you've got them out there kind of slapdicking around, Max is great. He's got good personality. I thought Lexi and Rose were in terms of personality front, like about all you can ask for. But there's just a lot of going on, and it's just hard for people that don't do it for a living, right? In terms of like entertain through the vacuum or through the vehicle of golf for a living. It just kind of is tough. It could be an awkward, like kind of cringy watch at times. And so I'm not going to say that like the actual pure golf standpoint of it was the most riveting thing I've ever seen. But in terms of the venue and under the lights, and you've got big names like Rory and Max and Rose and Lexi and all that, like that part of it is cool. Chuck's out there. Biz was out there. DJ Khaled was out there, which was, I think, driving a lot of people crazy, but he was out there. It was a lot. The venue was very cool. I don't know that the golf has the most staying power of anything I've ever seen.
It kind of made me appreciate our editors in YouTube Golf, because I think there was just so much dead time. The broadcast was so long. It was like almost 4 hours or 4+ hours long. And it's just like you said. I mean, these are professional golfers who. Well, I remember Xander Schauffele said this when I interviewed him on the podcast. I was like, "You don't really do much." He's like, "My entertainment is the golf.
Yeah,
I go out there and I play really good golf on really hard courses, and I feel like that's where I'm entertaining. I don't think if you put a microphone in my face for 4 hours that it would be, that fun of an experience for people to listen to. And so I just thought there was way too much dead time. And then if I was thinking if they could distill this down into like a 45-minute piece of content where they'd show the best stuff. And then someone was like, "That's just YouTube golf. That's just what YouTube golf is." And I was like, "Yeah, You know what? I understand why this thing is so popular."
Yeah, I mean, I hate to shit on it because I think if you probably went back and listened to podcasts when the Phil and Tiger one was announced, we're like, all right, great. Golf is trying something that's not just 4 days at a tournament that people are going to watch like the last couple hours of. It's good that they're trying something new. You get the biggest names, you mic them up, you make it less serious, but you put money on the line. Like, that's a great idea. And then you fast forward however many years and however many matches. You said this was the 9th one. And yeah, I echo a lot what you guys are saying, where you're just like a lot of dead time. I'm glad that golf is still trying to make it like more accessible. You have DJ Khaled out there, you got Biz out there, Chuck is out there, but it's not perfect, and it's probably not moving the needle. I'd be curious what the ratings were, the way that certainly the first Tiger and Phil one was, where it was like, whoa, this is the first of its kind. We're watching a one-on-one between two of the greatest golfers of all time, and then you play it out 9 times. And I love Rory, I love Max, I love everybody who was involved, but it just doesn't have that juice that it originally had.
Well, there was a grudge aspect to that first match.
For sure.
It's Tiger versus Phil, so that's the watching power. That's the staying power. I'm going to watch that for 6 hours, 10 hours.
Yeah.
I wish that they played every single night. I think that they've lost that a little bit. They're trying to I don't know what they're trying to really accomplish with it. Like I struggled with like, why are we watching this? Like I was sitting there being like, what's the reason? Is it just to watch them hit golf shots, or are we supposed to like root for a winner? They really have lost their the appeal of like why we're tuning in. Now, if you have two TVs set up, like I was watching the Islanders on one screen and I had that on the other one, it wasn't that bad. You got to watch some cool shots. Like Lexi Thompson was driving the green. Like it was cool. Like, I mean, we played the park with Grant Horvat. It was awesome to just see that place lit up. I enjoyed that aspect of it. I thought they hit some cool shots, but if I had the volume on and I was like listening to that for 4 hours, I probably would have driven myself insane. So yeah, I think they're losing the appeal of why are we watching it? You have to attack that as like a content creator. That's what they're becoming. They're on primetime TV and they're trying to change the game of golf. They have to look at it as though they're a content creator. Like why, just like we do, where it's like, what video would be like people actually want to watch this? When we get Rory in a video or we get Tiger Woods, we're like, what's the best idea that we can come up with that people will actually find this interesting, as opposed to just them just hitting golf shots? We argue about that all the time and they just can't figure it out, I guess.
Well, Riggs's latest series, Hater, is a perfect example. Why am I watching this? It's because this guy has a very public golf game and there's a bunch of people who shit on it. Now, what if you put that person who's shitting on the guy who has a public golf game against the guy? That's why you watch. And that the match with the other night on Monday had none of that. Like you're saying, that's a great point. Although I will say, like when they did the Bryson and Brooks one, they fucked that one up too because they did it too late. It's like when you get all the sponsorships involved, it's like we can't do it until down the line. And by the time you actually do it, that beef was over. You have to do it in the moment. They have to capture it, and they have not been able to do that.
Yeah, like they could have honestly, as simple as it sounds, just done like the women against the men. Just be like, who, can the LPGA women compete and beat Rory and Max Homa?
Yeah.
And
such a better video.
They're going to play from the appropriate tee differences and let's see who fucking wins. And like, that's like, there's a storyline. And I agree with you. They've lost it. And what they have this infatuation with doing it live. And to your point, if you're going to try to do the entertaining aspect of golf, like if you just did a live stream of 4 hours of one of our matches, like it's just not going to be as good minute to minute as when we can edit it into a fucking 40-minute video. You put the best stuff in, you put the graphics in, you know how to crescendo it and build it and do a storyline that, has its peaks and valleys, and you know what you're working with. When it's live like that, like it's hard to make golf that entertaining when they have 75 people on the weekend that they get to cut to whenever they want. Now they've got 4 that are all on the same time, frame. So it's like, what would help, like honestly, if they just had 2 groups out there so that at any time you could cut to someone hitting a shot. But like, God, when you're right, that downtime, Danny, and like I felt Cather Tappan Rory kept winning holes, so he would be the guy that they would interview on the green, and you could tell Rory was just like, I don't know what else to say. You keep interviewing me after every hole, being like, all right, Rory, you won that hole. What were you able to do special there? And he's like, it's just a beautiful night out here. This venue's awesome. Man. This is so fun. Like, and luckily I was just able to hit a good shot there. And she's like, all right, good luck on the next hole. And then they just kept doing that. And you could tell Rory's like,
dude, what was that shoulder shrug?
He was moving his hood, but it looked like a twitch.
Are you sure?
I think so.
I think he put her arm on the back and he went, blah.
I thought he was trying to move his hood to the back.
That's what I thought too.
There's 2 ways of looking at it.
For sure.
There are.
But I would say, like, would Rory, like, I don't think Roy would be like, don't touch me. That would be wild if he did that.
Yeah.
Bubba Watson.
But if they did like a Rory versus Brooks matchup, like a grudge match, 2 best players of their generation, something like that, like there's got to be a storyline. And I think one of the reasons why the Tiger Phil one was so good is they were both trying. They were both like locked in, doing what they do best, which is play golf really fucking well.
What every conversation we have about the sport of golf boils down to on this podcast, PGA Tour Live, the match, our videos, whatever, golf, this is the reality, isn't at the NFL. It's not the NBA. It's not constant action where you can do it. What you have to do in each of these scenarios is find a way to distill the best parts. For the PGA Tour versus Live thing, we got to have one tour where everybody plays together. For the match, you got to film it, edit it, put it down. For Breaking 90, for Hater, for Fixing Frankie, for all these things, you just take the best parts and you put it on there. If you let it lag and if you show all 4 hours of a golf round, it's just not going to work. Or if you split the talent, it's just not going to work. With golf, you have to take the best parts and show people that. If you try to show them everything, or if you try to split the talent, it's not going to fucking work.
Yeah, and I remember with the Tiger Phil match, there was so much because you know you got to take yourself back 6 years ago, and this stuff was relatively unheard of. And their big hype was like we're gonna talk shit to each other. We're gonna have little like side bets, and you're like, fuck yeah. And then you're like, do you imagine like Tiger Woods is gonna just talk shit to Phil for 4 hours straight? That would be crazy. What is he? A stand-up comedian who's just gonna roast Phil for 4 hours?
Right.
No, he has like a couple chirps over a 4 hour period, and that gets a little bit of highlights and it gets on social. But like, you know, I remember down the back nine when like Tiger ended up holing that one from off the green on 17 at Shadow Creek, and there was a little bit of juice there, but people were like, yeah, on the back nine, Tiger and Phil got pretty quiet. And it's like, no shit, they're just trying to defeat the other guy and focus on playing golf. That's like what they do. They're not just going to walk around, like I said, with a microphone. It's not open mic night at Shadow Creek. It's like they're golfers. That's what they do. And so that part of it is it's just not made for live with the current format. It needs a storyline. You need some reason for them to actually be playing. And then they're like just playing for charity, which charity's great, but like they clearly don't care about the shots as much if the money's just being donated in somebody's name to like a foundation instead of playing, you know. So it's just, I don't know. You don't know exactly.
We're not going to be the
for.
anti-charity podcast, but it is that you got to have these guys playing for their own money. That's what makes it competitive.
The Club Pro guy tweeted something. He was like, I want to see Lexi Thompson putt for 600K for herself, not for some random kid. You know what I mean?
It's true. That's going to make them more into it.
But that's what makes it. And Riggs and I were texting about this a little bit. I am concerned about the TGL situation that's still going to happen. The indoor simulator league.
Yeah.
Because there's no, they're not even really hitting. I mean, they're hitting golf shots, but not into the night. You're not going to see tracers. You're not going to see. So they are going to rely on these people as personalities. That personality has to carry that broadcast. And I'm a little concerned about how it's going to go.
Yeah, but it's going to be a condensed version of golf, which is exactly what we were just saying. Like, at least they're going to keep it to like around the green, and there's going to be maybe trick shot aspects. At least it's different than just like getting in a cart and talking about the shot. Like there's going to be like, Tiger, you hit the shot over this bunker, and then Rory, can you match? And hopefully it's like a quick pace. We get to see the best golfers pull off the best skills. But aside from like, they have to nail that. I agree with you where it's like, if you're just going to make it the match into a simulator, like let's just end that now. Like no one needs to see that. But if you can do fast pace, like come on, to a metronome, make it 130, like real quick. I need that thing to be.
You need quick, dude. That's a lesson for us. That's a lesson for whoever puts these matches on. That's a lesson for the TGL. Like we love golf. We host a golf podcast. We do golf videos. We play golf in our downtime. We want this shit to be a thing people like, and to do that, it's gotta be clippy. You can't film 4-hour rounds and put out 4-hour rounds. You can't do it.
And it's got to be quick so that then when there is a big moment, you can let the big moment breathe. Like when you had your moment on the 18th tee and breaking 90, right? It's like, it's quick. You're bopping up. There's a couple big moments where you had some good scores, but you're kind of moving through, and then it builds to this moment where you get the dramatic music. You get a couple different angles. Trent's waggling on the tee. He's standing there for too long. You're like, what the fuck? And like, you're able to build up to these moments. Whereas when it's live and you don't know, and there's only, it's just like the whole thing, again, it just kind of slugged along, and it was awkward. You almost like couldn't wait for it to be over, which is not an ideal thing when you're watching something like that. So yeah, again, on the overall, it's good that this stuff is existing and people are trying stuff. I like that, like, you know, you got these 4 stars of golf that are willing to be out there doing it. They raise a bunch of money for charity. They showcase the park. It's cool, but the actual product has got to be tweaked, or it's just not going to last, is the way I look at it.